Hello class, let's take a look at week 2 information. Right now you're looking at this overview from myself. Here's the link to go to Cengage account, and that's where all of your activities will be for this week. And then you have some additional activities. That's a look at the PowerPoint presentation, which also you'll have on Cengage MindTap. And then I have study guide questions for you to look at. If I were to look at the course outline, which I know you look at it all the time just to know what should be done. Week 2, Module 1, Introduction to Information Security. So we got the ebook, which I'm going to go into, the PowerPoints, and practice quiz. The practice quiz is just that. It doesn't count in your grade. It just lets you check your understanding. During quiz week, you'll get a quiz on modules 1 and 2. But weekly, when we go through a module, there's a practice quiz on Cengage MindTap. Okay, so let's now go to Cengage MindTap, and this was last week, week 1. This is where you had to read a little bit, watch a video, and to take a prerequisite live virtual machine lab. That does count for your grade. All right, so let's collapse that and go into week 2. See, it's due August 25th. If I were to look at my calendar, August 25th is Sunday by just about midnight, 11:59. So going back to week 2 again, we have the book for you, the ebook to read, Module 1, Introduction to Information Security. We have the same PowerPoint, but in a slightly different format. I'll let you look at that. There is a hands-on lab for you to go into, and it talks about threat vectors and attack surfaces. That's where you're exposed, where you're vulnerable, right? And then the practice quiz, the module practice quiz. And it says practice right here. So I'm going to go into the ebook here. All right, I'm in week 2. I'm going to go into the ebook, but also right here is the full book where you can just open up to the chapter. So let me get to it this way. 2 ways to get there, which is kind of good. Let's make sure I'm in chapter 1. I am chapter 1. So let's go here. And a couple really kind of framework ideas presented to you. And that is the whole idea of information, having it secure and having it convenient at the same time. So users can use that information, right? Well, those have inverse properties. If you make it totally convenient and easy to get to, it may not necessarily be secure. So that's a way to look at your information. You need it available for users to use. All right. So how do we know the information is in good order? Well, we need to know that it's confidential. Only people that need access to the information can get access to it. That's your confidentiality. And we need to know that it has a strong element of integrity. That is, only authorized people can get to it. People aren't getting and looking at it. They shouldn't be looking at it, right? So the information hasn't been altered. Its integrity is intact, and that it's available for users to use. Really critical, right? So a couple other concepts, we call it the AAA, is authentication, authorization, and accounting, right? So what does that mean? Well, authentication is, let's see, checking the delivery person's credentials, be sure that they are authentic and not fabricated. As authentication, as an example, if a delivery person came, and sometimes how do you prove who you are? Maybe you know a password or there's a retina scan. Authorization, do you have a right to get to that information? Do you have the credentials to be able to see it? If you're working personnel at a large corporation, then you probably can get to that information easily and you can edit that information. But if you're not working in that department, while you might have information availability to see that information, you don't have edit permissions, right? So that's authorization. What can you do? And then the other thing is accounting, that there's credentials, there's logging of who accessed what, all right? Kind of critical measures to make sure that our processes are in place to make sure you have authorization. There's accounting who looked at the information and so forth. Let's see, what else? Let's get into, oh, this is critical. Okay, so the layers of information. Now we have where in the center where all the information is. It's created, it's available, it's stored, it's processed and transmitted. But then we have a couple elements that kind of define, if you will, layers of protection. So you have the product itself, in this case, the computers, the servers. Are they hardened? Are the updates done on them, right? And then you have people that sometimes click on links they shouldn't, might give information away that they shouldn't. Are they understanding and performing the right procedures for their job, their activities that they're supposed to do? And then you have, the source of those procedures or activities, and that is, the policies that are in place to protect your information. So that's kind of, if you think of three different layers, three different egg shells around that, that little fledgling bird that may be in the egg for protection, right? When you go to a hospital, what is the first thing they do? They triage you, but then they get your information. So there's processes that are in place to protect information and make sure things are going right. What else does this chapter talk about? Oh, this is the big one, threat actors, right? And that is kind of a term used, or malicious actor describes a person that is responsible for the attack. That's the threat actor. And they come in different forms. They're individuals or organizations that are quite a bit larger that engage in those kind of activities, and even governments that do that. So what else? What is in this chapter? Unskilled attacks. Now, those kind of attackers that are unskilled tend to just get programs that carry out the attack for them, like script kiddies that take care of that. Now, they're not necessarily skilled in how they do this, but they have programs that they use to take out the attack. So these are just terms you're going to see. This is rather a new term, shadow IT, and that is the whole concept. A company can do a lot of things, hardening the equipment that the employees use, having procedures in place. But when employees bring in their own equipment, maybe they didn't get permission to do that, and they bypass some of the security protocols that are in place, perhaps not intentionally, but it happens. And then a system gets hacked for whatever reason. Maybe it's a third-party vendor that accesses the company's system with their company system, and it doesn't have all the security settings and to make sure it is secure and without vulnerabilities. Those things are critical. There's organized crime. Insider threats to companies. Employees themselves carry out many of the attacks on a company. Maybe one that was disgruntled that got fired and left a back door to get into the server and do some damage, or release some information, or sell some information. Hacktivists have a philosophy of causing havoc on systems, and they disrupt things that cause chaos. The old days, they might go to the home page or main page on a website and alter it for the user. Nation state actors, we hear about that on the news all the time with other countries that have crews of hackers that hack other companies, right? So those are threats that we have to be aware of, and kind of caution ourselves not to fall victim to some of that. Let's see. Mainstream attacks. There's some good information here, some good background for you. Operating systems have their own set of vulnerabilities. Windows might be one of the weakest. The Apple, the Mac OS has been stronger, and though it gets more popular, it still may get attacked. And then we talk about the impact. So that's a little bit of just kind of giving you the landscape of cybersecurity and how we get hacked and how that works. I'm going to jump into the PowerPoint here to show you. And it's just another format of the PowerPoint that kind of walks through this. So we'll get in here and let's see, understanding security there again. So the relationship of security and convenience. So some of the same things that's in the book, right? CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Those are kind of an abbreviation. You might enjoy reading the PowerPoint before going into the book. Confidentiality only assure, and we talked about that. Assure that people that have permission to get to the data will get to it. Okay, so that is the PowerPoint. This is the virtual lab. Let's jump into that. Let's take a look at it and let's see what we got. It's going to load up. This is where I need internet access for sure. That's pretty good because I'm going across to the UK. I'm going to get servers from practice labs. I'm going to get logged in. I may have to power some servers up, but it will go through the activities of things you're going to do. We're looking at indicators, different types of authentication, vulnerable applications. So this is a real good one, actually. A good one to give you an overview of some of the things. Credentials that maybe have expired. Yeah, this is really good. So let's go into here. Objectives. Authentication. authorization, and accounting. So there's a AAA, some concepts and common threat vectors and attack surfaces. It's really good. File-based, vulnerable software. Open service ports. It's not the problem it used to be, but it still can be a problem. Credentials that might be substituted. Social engineering is still rather big. So about an hour for this lab. So let's go next here. And now this is the hardware environment, right? This is there's a domain box 1 and controller here. So Windows Server, Windows 11 Pro. Here's a Linux system. Oh, Kali Linux. So we have quite a few boxes here. So this one's starting up, and you'll see the light go on as soon. It's not quite, well, maybe it is almost there. We'll see. It takes it a second. See, it's connecting right now. And this is on page 2 of 6. And we're waiting for the group policies to set up. We're actually starting up a server in the UK right now. So it's loading up. I want you to see the screen. And here we go. Still running. If you've never seen a server before, you're looking at the server manager and some of the information on it. It might be new. You're used to personal workstations, so this is a little bit new. So let's go next, and your devices. So task 1, discover unnecessary open ports. So it's going to connect to this DMO1. Am I that? No, let's turn that on. Let's power it on. And you're going to walk through and complete these steps. It's going to show you screenshots. It's going to tell you what to do as the activity is opening in the display window here. And you'll go to the control panel. So I think you can walk through this. I think it's self-explanatory. Do allow yourself an hour to get through this. That's kind of critical. And then at the very end, I'm going to jump to the end because there are some quizzes you need to take. I know it's still powering up. So you're seeing the screenshots here on the left as this is powering up for you. It's showing the devices that you've got to open up. And I think the last one, here it is, page page 6 of 6. Here you have some questions. So make sure you answer these questions and submit them. And once you do that, you'll be complete and done with this. So this is the hands-on activity right here, Live Virtual Labs 1-1. Really good, really appropriate for this chapter. And the sample quiz, so I'm not going to go into it, but I think that's enough to get you going. All right, little reading. PowerPoint maybe do first. Give yourself an hour and a half for this Live Virtual Lab the first time you go through it, and take the practice quiz, if you will, after you read the book. Take the practice quiz. And I think that's it. I'll stop for now.